Here are 4 prices you can find in about 15 minutes tonight. Goodcall, $129 a month. Rosie, $299. Dialzara, $349. Abby Connect, $690. And if you want to cut out the middle altogether, ElevenLabs will rent you a working phone agent for $22 a month and let you build the thing yourself over a weekend. I charge $1,500 a month, so I am going to do the one thing nobody in this business will do on camera. I am going to put my whole bill on the screen, line by line, including the line where the software cost me about $66, and then you can decide for yourself whether the gap between those two numbers is worth anything to your firm. 2 rules before we start. Every outside figure you see tonight carries a name and a year underneath it. And when a number is mine, rather than somebody's study, I will say so out loud instead of dressing my own arithmetic up as research. Most of tonight is my own invoice, so you are going to hear me say that more than once. Before I built this, I went and read every comment section I could find in this category. 6 different people across 3 different channels asked some version of the same question. What does this cost? One of them phrased it about as politely as a person can. A natural question would be, what would the estimated cost be? 6 likes. No reply. Not a low answer, not a high answer, not a range. Silence. The only time I found 2 sellers talking about price in public, they were arguing with each other underneath the same video. One said $197 a month. The other said $500 to $700. Neither of them showed they're working. So the state of the art in this industry, when a buyer asks what it costs, is either nothing at all or 2 strangers guessing at each other in a comment thread. I think I know why, and I do not think it is shyness. The delivery cost of this technology collapsed about 18 months ago. Anybody selling it knows that if they put the real platform bill on screen next to their price, the next question is obvious and they do not have a good answer for it. So the honest move, and the only one I can see that survives you finding out later, is to show you the platform bill first and let you ask the hard question out loud. So here is my delivery cost for one firm. I am going to describe it the way I would if you were sitting across from me. There are 3 moving parts, and one of them is nearly free. First, the phone number and the minutes. A business number costs about $1 a month to hold. Inbound minutes cost roughly a cent each. I am not going to read you a rate card because those change, and I do not want you holding me to a page I did not write. Round it generously, and the whole telephone side of this, for a firm taking a few hundred calls a month, is under $10. Second, the conversational voice platform. This is the piece that listens, decides what to say, and says it in something close to real time. It is billed by the minute, and it is the largest line on my bill by a distance. It is also the line that got about 10 times cheaper between the start of last year and now, which is the whole reason this industry suddenly exists. Third, the scheduling layer and the connections between everything. Calendar access, the automation that moves a completed call into a record somewhere, the storage of the recordings, tens of dollars a month across a whole book of clients, not per firm. Put the 3 together for a firm doing 600 minutes a month, which is a real volume for a small plaintiff side practice, and my delivery cost is about $66. 66 against a price of $1,500. I have now said the quiet part on camera, and the obvious question is yours to ask, so let me ask it for you. What exactly am I charging you $1,434 a month for? Here's the answer. And I want to give it to you in a form you can argue with rather than a slogan. You are not buying the software. You could buy the software yourself for $22, and if what you need is a voice that answers and takes a message, you should go and do exactly that. What you are buying, if you buy from me, is the work of making that voice safe to put in front of a person who is about to tell it something privileged. That work does not get cheaper when the platform does. There are 4 of them. None of them is a feature you can switch on. All 4 are somebody sitting down with your firm and building something that fits it. The first is the case management system you already pay for. Clio, MyCase, FileVine, whatever you standardized on. A call that ends and lives in a separate dashboard nobody opens is not intake. It is a voicemail with better handwriting. So the call has to arrive inside the software your team already has open, with the fields your firm actually uses, populated the way your intake person would have populated them. That is a build per firm, and I have never once had 2 firms want it the same way. Second, the intake script. A family law inquiry and a rear-end collision inquiry are not the same conversation, and neither one is a restaurant booking. What gets asked first, what never gets asked at all, what happens when somebody starts describing an injury in detail, when the call stops being intake and becomes a person who needs a human right now. Writing that with a firm takes hours, and it is the difference between a system your partners defend and one they quietly route around within a month. Third, and this is the one that has no equivalent anywhere else in this industry. Your firm cannot take an intake from somebody on the other side of a matter you are already running. A generic phone agent has no idea that exists. So the name and the opposing party have to be checked against your existing files during the call, and the moment there is a hit, the conversation has to stop being an intake and become a polite ending without the caller being told why. That is a real piece of engineering with a real professional responsibility problem sitting underneath it, and it is not on anybody's feature list at $129. Fourth, consent and disclosure, which state the caller is in, whether that state needs one party or all party consent, what the agent has to say in the first sentence, what happens to the recording afterwards and for how long. I have 12 states written up against their actual statutes, and I still get that question wrong often enough to keep checking. That is a whole episode on its own, and it is coming. But for tonight, understand that it is a cost, and that nobody selling you a plan for $299 has done it for your state. The build itself, the first pass of all 4 of those, is quoted per firm rather than folded into the monthly, because a 2-lawyer practice with 1 calendar and a 15-lawyer practice with a case management system full of custom fields are not the same job, and pretending they are would mean overcharging one of you. I am not going to put a number on that on this video because I would rather quote your actual firm than have you hold me to a figure I invented for a thumbnail. I want to be careful here because the tempting move is to line my price up against those published plans and explain why mine is better. I am not going to do that, and I want to tell you why. Compared to $129 a month, I am expensive. That is just true. If the thing you want is the thing that costs $129, then that is the correct purchase, and you should make it. So the comparison I will make is the one that is actually on your books. A full-time intake coordinator salary before you add payroll taxes and benefits and the cost of the desk they sit at runs somewhere between $45,000 and $60,000 a year. Call it $4,000 a month all in, on the low end. And for that money, you get 40 hours a week of coverage out of 168. That is not a criticism of the person. It is the definition of a full-time job. So, 128 hours a week, your published number, the one on your signage, and in the bar directory, and on every document your firm has ever filed, rings into a recording. Nobody chose that. It is arithmetic that nobody ever wrote down. And the fix everybody reaches for first, which is hiring a second person, buys you 10 more hours and costs you another $45,000. And this is not a hypothetical about your firm. In the summer of 2024, Clio hired a research agency to secret shop 500 American law firms, not a survey where firms rate themselves. Strangers calling real firms and writing down what happened. 40% answered, down from 56% in 2019. 48% could not be reached by phone or by email at all. Those are firms with staff. Most of them have somebody whose job includes the telephone. Now the part that I suspect no other video in this category contains. There are firms that should buy the $129 plan or nothing at all. And I would rather tell you that now than take a call with you and waste an afternoon of your time. First, if your inbound volume is low, 20 or 30 calls a month, the arithmetic does not work and no amount of framing fixes it. Second, if almost every caller asks the same single question and there is no real intake, you need a good recording and a callback rule, not a system. Third, if you have no case management system for anything to write into, the most valuable part of what I build has nowhere to go. Fourth, and this is the big one, if your intent is to replace the person who answers your phone, this will not work, and I will explain exactly why in the next episode, because it is a whole subject. Any one of those four, and you should keep your money. I mean that in a way that cost me something, because the whole reason this channel exists is that I got tired of watching people in this industry sell a $1,500 a month system into firms it was never going to work in, and then go quiet when it did not. So here is the part you keep whether you ever call me or not. You are going to be pitched this service by half a dozen companies over the next 12 months. Here are 6 questions. If you ask all 6 and write the answers down, you will know more about the state of this market than most of the people selling into it. Number 1, ask them what their own delivery cost is, not their price, their cost. Watch what happens to the conversation. You are not trying to squeeze the margin out of them. You are finding out whether they will tell you a true thing that is against their interest, which is the single most useful thing you can learn about a vendor in the first 10 minutes. Number 2, ask to see a call end and the record appear inside your case management system, live on a screen share. Not a video, not a diagram. If the answer involves the phrase, if your system has public APIs, that is not a yes. I have watched a seller give exactly that answer in public to a buyer who was asking a completely reasonable question, and it went unchallenged. Number 3, and this one sorts the field faster than any other. Ask them to play you a recording of their system handling a call badly. Everybody has one. Everybody. A vendor who cannot produce a bad call has either never run this on a real line or has decided you cannot be trusted with the truth, and you will find out which one within about 60 days of signing. 4, ask what happens on a conflict. If they do not know what you mean, the conversation is over and you have saved yourself a week. 5, ask what it says in the first sentence of the call, word for word, and what your state requires it to say. 6, ask what happens on day 31 if you want out, not whether there is a contract. what actually happens to your number, your recordings, and your call data, and how long it takes. I am aware that question 1 and question 3 both point straight back at me. That is on purpose. Question 1 I answered at the top of this video, $66. Question 3 is the next thing this channel is going to publish. 30 days of real calls on a real line, including the ones the system fumbled, unedited. If I am going to hand you a test, I should be willing to sit it. So once, and then I will leave it alone. I build phone intake for firms where one recovered client is worth thousands of dollars. $1,500 a month, no lock-in, and the build is quoted against your actual firm. If you want to hear one working instead of reading about it, the number is on the screen. Call it. You will get the system, not a salesperson, and you are welcome to be difficult with it, because that is genuinely the only useful way to judge one of these. If you decide it is not for you, that is a perfectly good answer, and you still leave with 6 questions worth asking the next company that emails you. Next time, I am going to talk about the person who answers your phone right now and what actually happens to their job, because that is the real reason most owners say no, and almost nobody in this business will say a word about it. If that sounds useful, subscribe and it will find you. Go and ask somebody what their delivery cost is.